Hello Flosstube Nation, this is episode 6 of Cindy's Adventures in Stitching, and today is February 18th, 2023. And for those of you who are watching for the first time, welcome. And for those of you that are returning and have subscribed, I say thank you very, very much. I am going to start out today with old business, kind of like a business meeting. And by old business, what I really mean is things Cindy either forgot or got wrong on previous videos, and things that I just need to clarify. So we're going to start with, after the last video, my sister called me immediately and she said a couple things. One of them was she wanted to make sure that I completely understood that my great-grandmother's quilt is just on temporary loan at my house, and that when she gets back from Florida, she's going to keep it at her house for a while. And I thought, only if you can find it. And the second thing that she said was that my grandmother did not use newspaper to do her quilt blocks. She used cardboard. And in fact, my sister has some quilt blocks that have been sewn together that are made from cardboard, so you would know the order, and I can't wait to see those because I think that'll be really interesting. That simply confirmed I knew she was the favorite because she's the one that ended up with those. I didn't even know they existed, and I think Mom must have given those to her quite a while ago. So I am really looking forward to seeing those when she gets back. So the other thing that I needed to talk about was I never did, in a couple videos before, I never did explain or clarify the numbering for DMC floss. And you guys probably already know this, but I honestly did not make the connection until I started sorting my floss, that the numbering goes from 0 or maybe 1 to 1,000. And then there are no 1,000s, there are no 2,000s, and it starts back up again at 3,000. And I guess when DMC was questioned about that at some point, don't have any idea when, they said that it's unique to DMC numbering, obviously, because who else would want to do it that way? And it's based off of the tints of the rainbow, TINTS. But, you know, honestly, it still didn't make any sense to me. So, but I wanted to clarify that because I completely forgot to say that when I got on the tangent about the history of DMC and the whole Teresa Dilmont. I haven't looked to see if there is a biography on her, but I would love to read it if there is, because I think she must have been a fascinating woman. So, wanted to get that done. And then also wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you for all of you who have been watching. You know, I can't remember details the best, but it seems like I remember reading that there are 1 billion hours of YouTube that are watched a day. And how anyone has been able to find my channel is amazing to me. And I have to thank Marilyn from Cranberry Bog Cottage, because she's kind of been my mentor. She's kind of showed me the ins and outs of, okay, do this and make sure you do that. So I definitely want to thank her. And then I also need to share some really fun news. A couple weeks ago, I always read my comments and always reply. I may not get it done immediately, but I always, because I enjoy them so much, and I so appreciate that people take the time to write a comment. I mean, gosh, I appreciate that people even watch the video, but then to take the time to comment or to hit the like button, I mean, I can't even tell you how happy that makes me and how much that means. So on a Friday night, it was late, like 9:30, which is late for us. I was reading the comments, and I've got it right here because I knew I wouldn't be able to remember it. And I wanted to read it to you guys and see if you can figure out who it is. It says, Cindy, thanks for posting this awesome video. Next time you're in the shop, tell the girls you have my permission to do an overall scan of the store. Take care and can't wait to see more of your adventures. Guess who it was from? Lisa Bonjean. I was shocked. I woke up Sam and I said, "You'll never guess who commented on our video." And so I even looked at her picture to make sure that it was authentic and, you know, nobody had hacked it or anything. So I was just beside myself. I was so happy about that. So Saturday afternoon, after my cousin Lisa, my first guest stitcher, left, I turned on the basketball game because I have said before I'm a big fan of Big Ten college basketball. And Sam really isn't. He went to a small college, and so, as he says, I drank the Kool-Aid, and I'm a big fan, and he didn't drink the Kool-Aid, so he can take it or leave it. And I tend to yell at the TV when I watch the game, so he went outside, and he came back in, and I was reading, or actually I was watching Olivia Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, and she did a shout out to me and to Stitching Faye. And I was shocked. I was so, so grateful. That was so kind of her, so nice. I just wish I lived closer to all of these really cool floss tubers so that we could get together and we could stitch together and all of that. So I want to thank Olivia for being so kind to say something about me, and she put my, what do you call it? My
channel address.
Thank you. My channel address at the bottom of her video in the description box, and it was just so kind, and I really, really, really appreciate it. So thank you very much, Olivia. So today, that's all with old business. Let's go into new business. I've got a couple of FFOs that I want to show you, and one of them is here. It's winter time, and I tried to put lizard litter in the corners to make them stand out a little bit better, but I think it kind of fell apart. And anyway, I just stuffed it, and then I put a heart on the back, because how I do it is I stitch it all the way around, and then I slice a hole in the middle of it, and I stuff it, and then I used glue. It was Aleene's glue, fabric glue, to put the heart on the back, and I think it turned out just fine. And I want to share a little tip with you guys. I never pay a lot of money for my stuffing or my polyfill. What I do is I go to Walmart, probably out of the view, sorry about that, and I just buy the cheapest pillow that they have, and then I slice it open and I take the stuffing out, and that's what I use to stuff my pillows. I stuff all my pillows that way. Now, I don't know, there may be some purists out there that may think that that's a terrible idea and they don't want to use it, but I think this was $6. And I don't care if you have a coupon from Joann's for 50% off, you're not going to get all of this stuffing or polyfill for $6. Well, it was $6 in tax. So, I mean, I honestly don't remember if I got an epiphany when I was walking through the store and thought, hey, why am I buying or paying full price for polyfill when I can buy a cheap pillow and use that for stuffing? So if you don't do that, I would encourage you to do so, because it's not that I save that money, because what I do is I recycle that money to buy something else, like fun patterns or things like that. But my other finish, and I've been telling you guys about this forever, I feel like. But anyway, it is finally done. And I just used some yarn around the edge of it. And I, again, used the Aleene's fabric glue. And then I just put a little bit of, again, yarn, cheap yarn, to put in the center. And then I have an easel that she can set it on the table for. And then my, oh yeah, this was my other finish. So those are my two finishes. And then my WIP is coming along. It's Love is Patient. And of course, it's got my bunnies on there, and we're going to meet the bunnies today. We're going to go inside here in just a little bit and meet the bunnies. And then we're going to come back out and we're going to talk some more. So let's go inside. I want to show you, finally, I have figured out my floss storage solution. And I want to show you what we came up with and kind of explained how all of that works. So let's head inside. Okay, my sewing room is down in our basement. And it originally started as one room, but then very quickly expanded to the full basement, both sides, because the stairway kind of cuts the basement in half. So my husband gave this to me for Christmas and I just love it. So let me explain just a little bit before we get in there. When we came back from Michigan, we stopped at an antique mall in Markle, Indiana, and I think it's called the Markle Antique Mall. And we were walking through and I saw an old-fashioned drawing rack, and I'll show you what it looks like. But they had turned it so it sat down and it had the fans, the wooden things that you dry on, up. And I think it was just like a background decoration, but all of a sudden I got an idea. Hey, why couldn't I hang my embroidery floss on our old-fashioned drawing rack? Because someone that I live with doesn't really like it that much, because one or two times I forgot to put the wooden pieces back flat against the wall and he ran into them. It's not funny because he could have really hurt himself. But,
well, I'm laughing.
but so I kind of stopped using it because I didn't trust myself to always remember to put the boards back down in. So this would give us a way to use that drawing rack, which I really like it. So, you okay there, cameraman?
Walk downstairs.
So I thought, why couldn't I hang my embroidery floss from that drying rack? But here was the issue. The issue was I didn't know how I was going to hang it, because I didn't want to have to take all of those pieces off every time I needed to get, you know, a certain color. So on the way home, we still had about 2.5 hours to drive. I got on Etsy. And I think I just searched ways to hang embroidery floss or embroidery floss hangers, or maybe I even put in floss drops. I don't remember. Anyway, this came up. Great, great shop. It's called Stitchy Hugs. And I've got the information here. It says Etsy, Sarcy Girls Designs, and she's from Canada. And so I ordered them, and I got 120 of them, and I think it was $31, and it was free shipping. But it's such a great idea. Oh, and this is kind of changing direction a little bit, but can you see the bunnies down there? So this is Rosie and Trixie, and this time of day is their lounge time. They usually sleep all afternoon. And my granddaughter Harper named Rosie, and she wanted to name Trixie Jack, but Trixie's a girl, so I said, well, we can't really name Trixie Jack. So I always wanted a pet named Trixie, so I named one, and Harper named one. And long story about the bunnies. I know I'm digressing, but they were a COVID thing. I remember exactly, it was summer, things were still shut down. I was kind of having a pity party because we couldn't go anywhere. And we had this beautiful camper, but you know, there was no place to take her, the camper. And so I said to Sam, I think I want to get a bunny. I've always wanted one. My daughter had one growing up, but it died like in 2 weeks, so we didn't have it for very long. We didn't know what we were doing. So anyway, went up and picked these guys up, these two girls up. They were not sisters. We started with just Rosie. And then I kept watching YouTube, reading, and they said how social they are and how they really like to have someone with them. So then I went back up 2 days later and I got Trixie. Now I will tell you, it depends on what you want out of your pet. They're very inquisitive, so they love cleaning day down here because, you know, they get out and they run around and they do zoomies, which a zoomie is, if you're a rabbit, that's when you race down the hallway or you race across the room. And a binky is when you race across the room, you jump up and wiggle. And I don't really see them do binkies that often, but they do zoomies a lot, especially on cleaning day, and sometimes they do zoomies on their way to breakfast. But these two don't really like to be picked up very much. And then I've got another story because we have another rabbit, but he was an addition, and I'm sure he's sleeping in the other room, so we'll see him in just a minute. But okay, so back to the floss drops or the Stitchy Hugs. So the great thing about this is, so we took it down out of the laundry room so that Sam didn't run into it anymore. But and I don't have all of my floss done, but I take this out and then I can very easily pick whatever color I need. And I just bought Avery 3/4 inch stickers, round stickers off of Amazon. And you put it back on, you're good to go. Now, I left this up here because these have all been ironed, but these have not. So when I took them off of the bobbinators, you can tell they're super wrinkly, and I was worried that they would kink easily. So that's why I decided I couldn't leave them like that. Plus, they don't look very good. So when I get what I need, I just put that back up there and I'm good to go. I just think I'm so excited about this because I think it's going to be perfect. And she also threw in 20, can you get a picture of those floss drops? She just threw those in. And she's on Instagram. And again, it's Sarcy Girls, SARCYGURLS. She seems super nice. Oh, we'll put a link in the description box too for her Etsy shop, and I think this has her Instagram on it too. Let me look, but she's on Instagram as well. Yeah, it says @SarcyGirl on Instagram. So I thought I would show you, just in case anybody would want to do this, I thought I would show you how I ironed these, or what I did. Now, she had suggested that I wet them down completely and let them dry, and I did that with one and it worked great. But for me, just the practical part of it, I thought I need to get this done. I got other fish to fry. So do you want, oh, before we do that, I wanted to show, whoops, I wanted to show this drying rack. So can you swing over?
Why don't you come back and tell everyone about your cover that you made?
Okay, so I am worried about dust and probably fading because they are going to be out in the open. So, because bunnies are dusty, I'm not going to lie. They're a great pet and I like them. And for us, they're a good pet because you can be gone all day long and they don't really care. And they're quiet, and I feed them in the morning, and I'm down here a lot during the day. Now, in the summer, I'm not in here quite as much. I'm outside, but then I take them to, we have a big front porch, screened-in front porch, and I take them and they can spend the day on the front porch, and they're happy as can be. So anyway, I had decided, or maybe we had talked about it and decided, I can't remember, that I needed to make a cover for this. So I know that I needed to do a template to make this cover. And I said, hey, do we have any big pieces of cardboard? Because I knew I was going to have to make like a semicircle and then bring something down so that they would be covered up completely. And Sam said, yeah, I keep big pieces of cardboard in the garage. Well, have you ever heard someone say something and in your mind you hear something different than what they say?
This ought to be good.
Because I thought he said in his workshop he had a big piece of cardboard.
Because workshop and the garage sounds so much alike.
In my head they did. So I went out to the workshop. Never even occurred to me that he really said garage. After he said that, after, you know, this all came out, I thought, I think I do remember you saying garage now. So anyway, I went out to the workshop, saw a big piece of cardboard out there, but there were storage containers in there, and I'll get to that in a second. I kind of feel like I'm rambling a lot, but oh well, that's just the way it is.
You're trying to delay what you did.
So I started to cut on it, and I thought, no, this can't be right because there's things in here that need to be protected. So the workshop has 2 doors. And so I went to the other door, and there was this really nice piece of cardboard, and it even had a little bit of an arc on it, and I thought, this is perfect. So I brought it in here, and I started to cut on it, and I have a picture. Anytime there's something different going on down here, boy, I tell you what, the bunnies are on it. They're like a cat where, you know, if you're working on something, the cat wants to lay down in the middle. Well, that's the way these bunnies are. If I'm working on something on the floor, zoom, they are right there, hopping all over whatever it is that if it's a quilt top or something, they want to check it out. So I'm doing the semicircle, you know, I'm measuring, and actually kind of was proud of myself for what I came up with. And I
was so proud.
I left the cardboard next to the counter over there. Sam came home that night or evening, and he said, please tell me you didn't cut up that piece of cardboard. And I said, yeah, why? You said it was for me to use. He said, the cardboard in the garage, not the cardboard in the workshop. And that's when I thought, oh yeah, that is what he said, isn't it? Well, we have a teardrop camper, and the back of it opens up, and Sam has redone the kitchen of it because he does all the cooking when we go camping. Another reason why I love camping. And he made from that piece of cardboard something called wing walls that is just like a tent, kind of. Would you call it a tent or it's like sides for that teardrop door so that it keeps out wind, or if it's raining lightly, because he's not going to be cooking out there if it's raining heavily. Anyway, that was something he wanted to keep. But I had a really great idea that I only cut it in 3 pieces. So, I mean, we can tape it back together.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was kind of a faux pas on my part. But let's go to the ironing board, and I'll show them how I straightened these out. So this is Jib, and Jib is a rescue bunny. The story behind this is he was eating some hay. Sam came home one day and said, hey, I know that you're disappointed because the girls, we call them the girls, don't like to be picked up. And that's really, I mean, I know that's not why you wanted to get rabbits. You wanted to have them like as pets. So, and they are pets, but they're just not real interactive. They're cute. I like them hopping around while I'm down here. They give me company and all that. But he said on the radio on Thursdays, there is a radio station that like does Humane Society pets. And there was a bunny that was on there. And what was her name? Judy Blue Eyes? No, Judy Hopsalot. And he said, if you want to, why don't we go take a look at Judy Hopsalot? So, long story, not so short. Judy Hopsalot was transferred from the Bartholomew County Humane Society to the Monroe County. The Pip Squeakery, which they kind of specialize in bunnies and I don't know what else, like hamsters and things.
Hamsters and gerbils.
Hamsters and gerbils, which it kind of cracks me up that there's a rescue for gerbils. But anyway, so we called, and the Pip Squeakery, like the very next day, the Pip Squeakery had transferred Judy Hopsalot down to the Bun Bun Brigade in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. So that was a Friday. So we did some checking. Of course, we had to fill out an application for the Bun Bun Brigade. And they okayed us. We were cleared to be able to adopt. So we drove down to Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Was what, like 2.5 hours, almost 3 maybe, something like that. And again, if I lived near a place like this, I would volunteer because it was full of bunnies. And Judy was a little traumatized, to be honest, because she'd been shipped around a lot of different places. And she didn't seem really excited to be near me. And I know it was probably because she'd been moved around so much. But they said, hey, if you're looking for a bunny that likes to be petted and picked up, we have just the guy for you. So they went and we renamed him Jib. I don't remember what his name was at the place. I don't remember. I'm sure he had one, but I don't remember. Well, he snuggled up next to me, and the deal was done. So we brought him home. Now, I took him to the vet right away, and the vet thinks the girls are 2. Yeah, we got him. No, they're 3. We got him in 2020. So, well, they're 2.5. And he seemed to think that Jib was about a year older than them. I know I'm not a vet, but I kind of think maybe Jib is older than that, because he just kind of acts older than that. Maybe it's because he's surrounded by females. I don't know. But, I mean, you probably couldn't hear him. He kind of squeaked a little bit. He does that when he's in his happy place. He kind of squeaks a little bit, and I figure that's his way of communicating. Now, the really kind of sad thing is Jib is blind. He's gone blind. He didn't start out that way, and he does really well. I mean, he walks to where he's going unless it's breakfast time, and then he speeds up a little bit, and sometimes he runs into things, but you know, he backs up and he just turns a little bit, and he always finds his way to the food. He comes upstairs with us in the evenings. He hops up the stairs, and we give him some lettuce, leaf lettuce or red lettuce or romaine. They can't have iceberg lettuce. And pick him up, and we pet him, and he usually falls asleep, and then he wakes up, and then he's like, okay, I've had my loving fix, I've had my lettuce, I'm ready to go back downstairs with the girls. So I think this is the year of the rabbit too. I think someone told me that. I think Kim told me that. Yeah. So how appropriate that it's the year of the rabbit and we've got our bunnies. But they've been, I mean, they're a good pet for us because we're on the go and we go places, and we put them up at night. Sam made this pin for them, but I will say they're dusty. This room gets really dusty. Oh, the hay, and not them. Well, I don't know, because they shed a lot. And I mean, if I brushed them in front of you guys, you would be shocked at how much hair they have, especially Rosie. She's very hairy. So anyway, okay, Jib, we got things to do. We got to take care of business, so I'm going to put you down, okay?
Go back to sleep.
Yeah. He's ready for his afternoon nap. Okay, so I got to share something with you. I've said over and over that I want this channel to be fun and lighthearted and maybe bring a little joy to you. So, so I said, I have to take a quick bathroom break. So I ran upstairs. Going to the bathroom, and all of a sudden I hear Sam dying laughing. Well, here's a tip. Turn your microphone off before you go and do other things, because the person wearing the earbuds can hear what's going on. And that's all I'm going to say.
Very clearly.
Okay, so back to the task at hand.
I'm not sure I can.
You're scarred for life now, aren't you? Okay, so here's an example of, Christine had said of Sarcy Girls that she thought a good way to get all the wrinkles out would be to wet it down completely. And I did that for this one. And she was 100% correct. It did get all of the wrinkles out. But I found, I think, what is going to be a more streamlined process. So I'm just going to take a few of these off. And I'll just lay this over here to the side. But I'll show you how these work. So I want to show you how easy these are to take on and off of these hooks. You just pull it. I don't know if you can see that very well. I just pull it from behind. I take it under. And I'm going to put the number right here. And then, so I don't get confused on what number belongs to which one, I lay it down here. So I won't go through, I won't do all of them, won't take the time, but they are really easy to apply, to take on and off. And again, they're called Stitchy Hugs. And then I put this towel down, and I just want to say something about this ironing board. Up until Christmas, I just had a regular ironing board. In fact, it was my mom's ironing board, so, and it was good. But I had seen where they have these quilting boards, and so I said to Sam for Christmas, I would really like to have one of these. And he got on Amazon, and did you buy the wooden piece that came on here?
Just the cover.
Just the cover, okay. So he bought the cover, and then he got a piece of plywood, and he cut it to match the size of the cover. And if you, ladies, if you don't have one of these, oh my gosh. They are, what, for like 50 bucks, would you say? That was the adaptation to a regular ironing board. It is worth 550 bucks because I use it all the time. It's just so nice to have that extra surface. You wouldn't even have to be a quilter, I don't think, in order to use something like this. It's great. So I've got my spray bottle, and I just wet it down a little bit. Just got it damp. And then I've got my steam on, my iron, and I just kind of tugged at it a little bit to get the wrinkles out. And it's not super duper wet, so I can very quickly get it back on the Stitchy Hugs. And how you put them back on is you go from the back and you wrap it around. And you cross it. You don't even have to cross it. You just pull it through, and there you go. Now that one's got quite a tail, so in order to, whoop, it fell. Anyway, it worked great when I did it before I was on camera. There we go. And it's ready to be hanging back on my wooden piece. So I don't need to go through all of those to show you, but I'll show you one more time. You just take it around the back, and there's just a little bit of an indent, and cross them, pull it through, and you are good to go.
That's just slick.
I know, it's such a great idea. I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed. I didn't think of something like that myself, but I didn't. But Christine did. And then I want to show them what your next project is going to be. I have a little bit of unsightliness, as you can see underneath my cutting table. Now, have you ever said something and then later you say you do just the opposite of what you said you would never do? I distinctly remember coming home, walking home from my sister's, because we live across the road from each other, which is super handy. And she had a ton of fabric in her stash. And I said, do you remember me saying, I'm not going to do that. I am not going to have a big fabric stash because, you know, what if it fades, or how do you know exactly how much you need, blah, 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 blah.
How do you know how much you need?
Well, you don't.
Exactly.
But anyway, so in 2021, I mean, how many husbands say this to their wives? I tell ya, I don't want to get gushy, but honestly, he has got to be the most supportive husband of my habits that anyone could ever have. So he said, how would you like to go to Hamilton, Missouri, to Missouri Star Quilt Company? And I'm like, yes, I would love to go. So we went there and we spent 2 days. One night, we went, I shopped, we stayed the night at a Airbnb or Vrbo, really nice place. And then the next day, I went back and bought what I didn't buy the first day. And that was really the beginning of my fabric problem.
It started long before that.
It didn't start long before that, but that made it worse. And then the other thing was, so I loved going so much. It's just a very different experience, and I would recommend people go. But then we wanted to do a sister's trip, and they wanted to go too. So unfortunately, one sister, and you know what? Why can't I just say their names? So my sister Dottie and I went, but my sister Peggy couldn't go. So Dottie and I drove to Hamilton like 2 weeks after Sam and I had gone. And so I still had in my mind all the fabric that I wish I'd bought that I didn't buy. But here was the thing. They had tons of fabric for $6 a yard. Now I know fabric has gone up the past year, but it was still, even then, it was $6 a yard. And I don't know if it's still like that now, but that's the way it was after the pandemic. And they had just opened like maybe 2 weeks before we went in 2021. And they had a ton of fabric. And so how can you pass it up if it's $6 a yard? So that was really the beginning of this problem. So Sam is going to make me a new cutting table. We've got the top for it, and I bought the storage containers that are on rollers, and I have to keep this fabric covered because of the hay or bunny hair or whatever. It gets dusty in this room. So anyway, that's going to be not as unsightly. However, it does present a problem because then I'm going to have an extra cutting table. And I'm going to use that for my AccuQuilt stuff.
That's a horrible problem to have.
It is a horrible problem to have. So something's got to go. I'm just not sure what it's going to be. It won't be the bean bag because the grandkids love the bean bag. When they come, especially Miles, my oldest grandson, he's 11 and he loves to come down here, turn the lights down and watch TV, and so that's got to stay, but something else has got to go. Just not sure what that's going to be yet. So let's go back. Oh, first of all, will you get a sign or get a picture of the sign that you gave me for Christmas? Because I think that's so us.
Kind of like following a squirrel.
Squirrel! Okay, so in here was the original sewing room. And I wanted to show, oh, I just woke up the bunnies. They like, what's going on? This is supposed to be quiet time. So I wanted to show, and what's really funny is lately, they have been staying in here with me while I'm sewing. But my other sister, Peggy, is a beautiful basket maker. And I wanted to show this basket that she made for me. She made one for me, she made one for Dottie. And I just love it. I love the craftsmanship of it, and it's really a cart that you can wheel around. Now, we used to take it with us when we go to festivals, and as we purchased something, we could put it inside there. But we haven't been to many festivals lately, so I'm not sure why that is.
And it was kind of small for all your purchases.
Unfortunately, that is true. But I keep it right here by the door, and that way I get to see it all the time. And then also she made that sewing gal. I can bring that closer if you want to see it. if you can't get a good picture of it. But we were at her house, and she had this antique drawing rack, and she found it at a thrift store, and she said it was just too cool not to get, but she didn't have a need for it. And I told her at first, no, I don't need more of the stuff you don't want. But then I came home and I thought, you know what? That would be a great drawing rack for starching fat quarters or 2.5-inch strips. And I don't starch, I don't use spray starch in here because I don't want it floating around everywhere. But I take it outside and I use it outside, or in the winter, our laundry room is on the other side of that door, and it's a pretty big space, and I put a tarp down and I spray starch it. I mean, it's the best thing. I love it. I really and truly do. And it even turns. I mean, how great is that? So anyway, I wanted to show you guys that too. Then one more thing that I want to show you down here. And then I want to show you, this is kind of the quilting section, I want to show you the very first quilt that I ever made. And it's got a ton of hand embroidery on it, and I thought you might enjoy seeing that. So let's go back in the other room and I'll show them the quilt. You may see these doors. These are closet doors. And Sam was working on a customer's garage. That's what he does for a living as a contractor, and they were in their garage. They're 1930s old garage doors, and he refurbished them, and they're on a slider. Do I dare open this door? I mean, actually, I cleaned up my closet, so it's not bad in here. I take that back.
We won't show that.
Okay. All right, but anyway, they're really nice. But if you're upstairs and somebody opens these doors, it sounds like the roof is coming down. But I also wanted to show, last year I was on the Fat Quarter Shop subscription box, and so every month you get a pattern and fabric, and I liked it, and plus you got notions. And this is to hold, it's a ruler for holding binding, and isn't it the cutest thing? Now it's got a little bunny hair on it, can't imagine how that happened.
It's clear, you can't even see it.
Yeah, when I saw that in the subscription box, I thought, I don't know if I'll use that. Of course, I ate my words, because when I did the binding, made the binding for this, I thought that is perfect. Because usually, you know, the binding's laying around. Well, it's right there. I can see it easily. I can find it easily. But I wanted to show you this quilt, this quilt top. I don't have it quilted yet, and that's a whole nother story. But I wanted to show it this time because if you have a graduate who's going to go to a school that starts with the letter I, honey, don't get super close because I don't want them to see my mistakes. But this pattern, it's from GE Designs, and it's called I Strip. So I was just curious. I mean, obviously, I made this for Indiana University, but if you had someone going to Indiana State, or here in the Midwest, we've got Iowa, we've got Illinois, we've got Indiana, and I Googled how many colleges or universities start with the letter I. There was a ton of universities. So I wanted to show you this so that if you do have a graduate, you've got time to get that made before they graduate. And the pattern comes in, there's a baby quilt size, there's a lap size, there's full size, queen size, king size, and it went together. It uses 2.5-inch strips. Now, I wanted to wash my 2.5-inch strips because they're red, and I didn't want to take a chance, and my background is white, and I didn't want to take a chance that the red would bleed onto the white. So I took my 2.5-inch strips and I used safety pins, and I pinned them, like maybe 10 of them together, so that they wouldn't be a big knotted mess when they came out of the washer or the dryer. And it worked pretty well. it did shrink. So I had to cut my 2.5-inch strips, became 2-inch strips. So I had to modify the pattern, but I think it looks fine being a 2-inch strip. I don't think it looks unusual or bad. So anyway, I wanted to show you that as well. And then I thought I would show you the snowman quilt that I made, which was my very first quilt. This is a Crabapple Hill pattern, and it's an oldie, but I think you can still get it. I think I saw it. My closest quilt shop is about an hour and hour 10 minutes away, and I think the last time I looked they still had this pattern, and it's hand embroidered. And this is something that I worked on while my kids were still at home, and on Sunday afternoons I'd take it to my mom's and I would stitch and she would usually crochet. And I mean it was a labor of love. I only work on it usually on Sunday afternoons because who has time? When you got kids at home, gosh, you don't have time to pluck your eyebrows, let alone work on other stuff. So I did transfer paper. I used a light box and I transferred onto the cloth, traced it onto the cloth, and then I embroidered it. And I still enjoy doing that a lot. I like to do hand embroidery. But it was the very first quilt I ever made, and boy can I tell it. I did echo quilting on my machine, on my domestic machine. It's got red fuzz all over it. So ignore the red fuzz. And you know, I didn't do a very good job. And I had just got my embroidery machine, so then I embroidered the snowflakes periodically all the way around. And I know Sam always says, don't show people your mistakes. They'll never even see them. I will share this. I ran out of material, which I'm a lot better about buying enough material now. At first, I was like trying to get by on too little. So some of the blocks are a little bit darker. Like this one's super light and this one's kind of dark.
That just makes it look vintage.
It does. I mean, that does really look vintage, doesn't it? But I do really, really like this quilt a lot. So this was the first one I've ever done. I'd like to think I've improved, but I still use Jack the Ripper a lot, so it happens. And then underneath, I'll just very quickly show you this Valentine quilt that I made. And I made this last year. I'd seen the picture on Pinterest, and it was charm packs. And I had to buy extra. I think I only had one, maybe two charm packs, and I just laid them out. I didn't really... And then I had it quilted. I took it to a quilter to have it quilted. So anyway, that's our Valentine's quilt. Last Saturday, we went to Cincinnati and we went to Keepsakes Cross Stitching Shop. Oh goodness. I haven't met a cross-stitch shop I don't love, and this one is absolutely wonderful. I walked in the door and I was immediately greeted by Susan, and we talked for a while, and she showed me how the whole operation kind of worked. There was a group of stitchers in the dining area sitting around a table talking, stitching. It's just so relaxing to be in there. And she shared that the models, which went from eye level to the ceiling, were on the walls, of course, and then the patterns were kind of underneath. And then there was a stairway off to the right, and going all the way up that stairway from almost floor to ceiling were models that were stitched. You go up to the top of the stairs, there's a room that has spring and summer. There's another room that has Christmas, and a room that has fall or autumn. There's a room that has all kinds of floss, different brands of floss. And then there was a room that had trying to think what else that was up there. I said Christmas, so that must have been it. And then downstairs on the other side of where the stitchers were was where they kept their fabric. And they had a big selection of fabric, So I was amazed at how nice and friendly the staff was. Susan was very helpful. And it's funny, I guess we kind of all have so many things in common. We talked about what it's like to care for an aging parent. We talked about, because I shared that after my mother passed away, I kind of was like, what am I going to do with my time now? Because I had spent so much time with her. And I have no regrets on that. None at all. I'm really glad that I did. But when that's all said and done, it's kind of like, gosh, I don't mean this to sound cruel, but you kind of get your life back. Because my kids are grown, you know, and they don't live in the very same town that we live in. One lives in Indianapolis, one lives in Columbus, so they're not right here. So during the day, when Sam's at work, I've got time to fill, which I had quilted and now I'm stitching all the time. So it's just different. It's just different. So anyway, I talked with Susan, and then Barbara, the shop owner, came into the room where we were, and we struck up a conversation and discovered that my mother had worked with her dad, because her dad ran Ben Franklin stores or distribution centers, and that's where my mother worked, and we figured out that they had worked together. So, you know, talk about a small world. Barbara was so kind, and she said if I wanted to video, take as many pictures as I want. And so we did a selfie together. Susan and I did a selfie together, and it was just really nice. So then after Barbara and I stopped talking, then Mary came into the room, and Mary said something that blew me away. She said, I recognized your voice from Flosstube. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I said, you're the first person that's ever said that to me. Can I give you a hug? And so come to find out, she is a teacher. And if you know teachers, educators, when they get together, they got to talk school talk. And I was a middle school guidance counselor for 25 years before I retired. And prior to that, I was a teacher. And so, of course, we were like best friends from the get-go. And we talked and we talked and we talked and we talked about, you know, just the state of the way things are now and how it used to be, that sort of thing. And finally, she said to me, isn't your husband in the car? I'm like, oh yeah. She said, you better get to shopping. So that's when I looked at all of the models. And I have to tell you, one of the things that I really liked about that shop was how creative. I guess Barbara is the one who decides how things are going to be displayed, and she's really got a good eye and a good touch. So most of the pictures that I took, we didn't video anything. The pictures that I took were because, you know, of course I love the patterns, but also she just had such creative ways of displaying. We don't have a lot of wall space, so I need to have different ways of displaying the work. So I did buy a couple of things.
Let's just clarify. We don't have a lot of wall space that doesn't already have something on it.
That could be true. We need a second house. That's all. We need a vacation home is what I say to that.
You got a camper.
I do have a camper, and I bought a model for this camper too. So anyway, this one is called In a Gentle Fashion. And it's my favorite things, and it's designed by Linda Palmer, and Sam will scan that and then show a better picture of it. But the display of this was really neat because on this one, they've got like sewing things around the border, but the shop had vintage jewelry all around it. And I have a lot of vintage jewelry. Some was my mother's, and some I just got at auctions because I love it. But it's one of those things, what are you going to do with it? So I don't wear a lot of jewelry now, so it's not like I'm going to wear my faux diamonds out very much. And then the other pattern that I got was called Let's Sew, and it's designed by Ursula Michael, and it's of a featherweight. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to dye the fabric to match one of the colors in this curtain, and then I'm going to stitch this in a color thread that will match this, and I'm going to hang it on the wall in here. We just got to remember to take it off the wall whenever we are on the road, because it would not, I'm sure it would not travel well. But I did buy some needle minders. I figured a cute way to display needle minders downstairs in the sewing room. This says keep calm and stitch on. I got one for my cousin Lisa too. And this is called Flosstube. Not sure what that's about, but we'll pretend we don't know. And then
kind of fitting for a lady with a rabbit named Trixie and Rosie.
Yeah, true. So I think I had shared that we do camping tables, vintage camping tables, and so this will go on one of my tables that says life is short, buy more fabric. See, you know, there's a lot of ways you can be enabled if you have a tendency to want to overbuy, because you see so many darn cute things. So I bought a Q-snap. I have never used one before, but I bought this Q-snap because I bought a light with a magnifier, and it really would not do well on, you know, I just use a plastic hoop and an old-fashioned type hoop. I'm not sure what they're called, but anyway, it will work better with this Q-snap. And I thought for traveling, to take a travel project with me, that having this light would be nice. I always use a headlight, but here's the thing on those headlights. They burn through the battery power pretty quickly. So I thought I'd give it a try and see what I thought. Then I was so excited about this. So I've been using chip clips to hold my fabric back on my projects as I stitch them.
That explains where all of them went.
I know, I've got like 3 in my sewing box. But anyway, so I was excited when they had these, because I've been told they were on Amazon, but I just hadn't looked. I don't remember how much those were, but I don't think they were very expensive at all. Let me see if I can tell. Nope, I can't tell. It doesn't say. So, yeah, I don't know. They weren't much though, I know that. And then I bought some fabric. I got some 30 count linen. I'm going to try a non-even weave and see what I think. So this is a fat 1/8, and I love that color gray because, you know.
Circle with that too.
What's that?
30 count.
30 count. Oh, here's a funny, cute little story. So Sam was at a woman's house, and she had a cross stitch hanging on the wall, and he said, "Oh, did you do that cross stitch?" And she's like, "You know what a cross stitch is?" And he said, "Oh, yeah." And he came home and said, "I really would have impressed her if I'd said, is that on 25 count Lugana?" But he didn't, so she probably would have said, "Okay, what's the deal here? How come you know that?" But then I got a full yard. This is 28 count Lugana, and it's called Mushroom, and I think that's a really pretty color. And this is the reason why I bought that. Not that I have to justify, but my focus project is big. And so I needed a big piece of fabric for that. And I know I had talked about Thread Milk Designs in their bowl series. And I think right now in my head, I'm thinking that I want to use the same fabric for all of the stuff that's going to go in the bowl series. And I have a lot of patterns.
And they serged that for you as well.
They did. They serged it for me. They serged both of these pieces. And I'm not going to buy a serger. I'm not.
You say that now.
I'm not going to buy one because A, I don't have room for one, and B, I just can't justify buying a serger for when I can zigzag. Now, zigzag around the edges, it doesn't do as well as a serger, but if I become a professional cross stitcher, then I'll buy a serger, but
when does that happen?
I don't think it does. Yeah, I don't think it ever does. So anyway, that's what I brought home from Keepsakes, which, gosh, and found out about their newsletter, and I want to go to their full up for their StitchCon. That's going to be held, the next one that's going to be held, and I couldn't even put your name on a waiting list. But I did find out about the retreat that they put on MLK Day. So for next year, I can sign up on, I think it's March 20th or 21st. I'd have to check that. So
February? MLK Day?
MLK, so you sign up almost a whole year in advance.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's how popular they are. So after we went there, we had lunch at a pub called the Cock and Bull, and the hamburger was so good. Sam and I split the hamburger, but then, I mean, we split the hamburger, yes, so we may have saved some calories there, but our sides were onion rings and mac and cheese, so it was kind of a wash. But the hamburger was really, really good.
I wish later I would not have split it with you.
I know. I thought, you know, when we were eating that hamburger and it was so good, I thought, I bet he wishes he wouldn't have said, you want to split this hamburger, because, I mean, it's worth a trip to go back there just for that, along with everything else. So then we went to the Ohio Valley Antique Mall, which is, I kind of got my antique malls rated. South Haven in Michigan is my #1 favorite antique mall. And then Ohio Valley would be second. And I think that antique mall in Markle would probably be third. It's
West Michigan.
And then there's West Michigan. Yeah, that'd probably be fourth. So anyway, I bought this vintage frame. I love the color. I don't know what I'm going to put in it yet, but I thought it was a good size. And it's already got a hanger on the back, so it probably says the size somewhere. So got that, and got some antique hoops that I will use. My idea is to use these antique hoops in a basket, you know, as a finisher, not frame it, not stuff it as a pillow, just have something different. And then got these. These, I mean, they're in really good shape. And I love these old, I love those old embroidery hoops. And then, oh, I forgot about this. Got an AC adapter, woohoo, at Keepsakes for my light also. So I'm not using batteries all the time. And this might not have been the smartest purchase, but because they didn't have all that I needed, but they had several. So that just gives me something to look for. Oh, I wonder why I got that. Because that's a wrong letter. Okay, well, moving on, I'm missing, I wanted to say cross stitch, which was something that I had seen at, really, I wonder why I got the Q and the D. Maybe I thought I was going to do quilts or something too. I don't know. So I got more to look for. That gives me something to search for when we go back to antique malls. So that will be for cross stitch, and then maybe I was thinking this would be for quilts or something. I don't know. Anyway, so that's that. And then I got on Etsy again. I was just looking, and I saw this from Vintage Treasures JMS. I put a post-it on it so I'd remember. For $14. I mean, isn't that beautiful? It says, may your neighbors respect you, trouble neglect you, the angels protect you, and the heaven accept you. And it's an Irish blessing. And I mean, it looks like it's probably been stitched on Aida, maybe 14 count Aida, but it looks beautiful. And when I saw it, I wasn't positive what condition it would be sent in, and I thought I would use it for the front of a project bag. But that's really big. So that'd be a project suitcase. So I may keep it in this frame. And look, it's papered on the back. It's been professionally done for $14. The shipping was more than 14, so. But still, the pattern would be at least 10 or 12, probably maybe more. I'm not sure. So, I'm going to go on a stitching diet. I'm done buying for a while. I've so much.
You would define a while.
No.
Okay.
I don't want to say how long a while is. But I got some treasures, and I didn't buy many patterns at Keepsakes. I bought other stuff that I needed. Things that I really needed is what I got at Keepsakes. But it was a really fun day, the day that we went to Cincinnati. And you know, I don't want to sound gushy, but honestly, I couldn't do this without my husband. He's my cameraman, my editor. He tried to teach me editing, and after the third night of sitting with me, trying to, you know, show me all this and click that and double click here and drag this over there, he said, "Do you just want me to do it?" And I said, "Yes." So he's my editor, he's my creative, I don't know, what do you call it? Creative director, producer, you name it. I honestly couldn't do it without him. So thank you, honey, very much for being so cooperative.
You're welcome. The laughs I have doing this with you more than pay for it. Because we now know to take the microphone off before we go to the bathroom.
That may be TMI. That, you know what? People may have turned off a long time ago. Like, they're not even seeing this part.
Oh, no. They're hanging in there for what you're going to do next.
Anyway, we do love a good blooper. And when we went to Michigan, well, why don't you come over here and kind of set this up. So for those of you that haven't had a chance yet to look at our other channel, you may not know who this handsome guy is beside me. But this is my husband, Sam, and I just wanted him to tell the story of when we were in Michigan and we went back to the place where we were engaged, because we're going to show the blooper video at the end of this, and we thought it was really funny and it cracked us up. So we hope you get a laugh out of it too.
So our original intent was to ski back to the spot on this trail that we got engaged at, and we were going to put together a video for our other channel, and it just turned into such a debacle trying to get this filmed. It wasn't until our 5th attempt that it actually worked. And even then, it was filled with just one thing after another. And at the very end, in what I thought was a heartwarming and touching moment, Cindy is just laughing hysterically at what I thought would be like a tear-jerking moment. But no, she is just laughing hysterically. And at the end of the video, she says why she's laughing hysterically. So we just thought we would share this with everyone, and hope you get a kick out of it as much as we did. And we'll let it go from here, and hope you enjoy it.
I did want to have a chance to let him show his face, because without him, this could never happen. And it has been such a really fun, very fun experience so far. And hopefully we're bringing something to you that you enjoy as well. That's my goal. I want it to be educational, I want it to be fun, and I want it to be informative, because it is important that we're lifelong learners. And so hope we're clicking all the boxes.
It's been really fun. Not only has it been fun doing this with you, but it's been very fun watching Cindy grow. And when I came in, what she didn't say about when she was watching that ball game, I went outside. I'd spent all morning filming with you and Lisa, so I needed a man moment. I had to get some testosterone back, so I went and cut a tree down in the woods. And when I came back in, she was sitting on the couch just bawling her eyes out. And I couldn't figure out what I'd done. That's the first thing. When a guy walks in and his wife's crying, you immediately run over the things that you just did because you probably screwed up. But I didn't think I did anything, so I finally asked, and that's when she said that Olivia had mentioned her on her channel and shared that information with her. And And yeah, that's been really neat to see. But we hope you guys enjoy this blooper video. We're going to let it roll from here, and we'll laugh with you in the background and be back with you here in a minute. Do you remember this spot?
Yes.
Boy,
Head.
it's like right in here.
Was it?
Yeah.
It seemed bigger at the time.
It was dark. No buttons pressed. It's filming right now. God, this is harder than it looks.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see you right now. Level?
No. Yeah, better. It's still maybe a little cockeyed, but
Yeah, so it's filming. How's that?
probably as good as it's gonna get. You know what's gonna happen.
It's gonna fall
right
over.
in the middle, it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Meow.
Oh, that's not anywhere near level. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so still filming. I can see you. We're gonna run out of light trying to get this one take. Okay.
Making's tough.
It is. God, if people only knew what we went through to do this. Okay. So this place on the Deer Yard Trail has a special meaning to Cindy and I. 8 years ago, just a little over 8 years ago, on New Year's Eve, 2014-15, we skied out here at midnight, just before midnight, because I told Cindy that day when we skied through, this is where I wanted to ring in New Year's. We were staying at the Whitetail Cabin up on Lake Superior. And she, crazy enough, said yes that day, but I don't think she thought I was serious. So at 11:30 that night, I woke her up, and she had fallen asleep and she just wore out from skiing all day. A big wind gust went over the roof of the cabin, and she looked at me and said, "Was that a wolf?" I was like, "No, that was the wind." Because we had a blizzard warning and a gale warning, and it was like 10 below zero and wind chills way below that. I mean, it was bitter cold. And she was crazy enough to get up, put all her gear back on, put her headlight on, and ski out here with me in the dark.
I didn't want to, but
She did it. And
I knew he did, so.
And she didn't say anything. I mean, it was a very quiet ski out here. And I remember when we came up this curve right over here, she could see a glow in this little grove of hemlock trees here. And she stopped and she turned around. She said, "I think someone's up there." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "I see light." I was like, "Let's go check it out." So she came around the curve and saw it. And what I had done while she was asleep was skied out here and lined the trail with battery operated tea lights. So she skied up here and stopped right about where we're standing right now. And I skied up and turned around and got down on one knee and asked her to marry me.
And he was still wearing skis, so that was a sight to see.
And she was crazy enough to say yes. And right after she said yes, literally right after she said yes, what happened?
Oh, fireworks.
Yeah, the fireworks.
A lot.
It was crazy.
Beautiful.
Who knew there was a firework display in Silver City on New Year's Eve in the UP? And I'd love to see my face because I was probably more shocked than she was because that wasn't in the plan. I had no idea they did that.
He should have taken credit for it, but he didn't.
That was too good. I couldn't take credit for that. So we just wanted to share that with you. We've been looking forward to coming back here for a long time, and you know the opportunity finally presented itself, and we just couldn't resist skiing back out to see this spot one more time. Sadly, a lot of the big trees, you know, we came around the curve up here, and you see the big group of trees that were down. So they keep losing more and more of these old hemlocks that originally was a huge grove, and the winds and storms that just keep taking them down. But it will always hold a special place in my heart, and I hope Cindy's as well. And we just wanted to share that with you.
Cheers.
Cheers, babe. Love you. I hope that one took.
Had a big snot.
Is that what you're laughing about? Oh, well, that one took. I thought I felt something running down.
Today was nose day.
So we hope you enjoyed that little clip. By the time we finished, well, we started with a warm beverage, and it was cold by the time we were done. I'm not sure you could tell this, but at the end...
We don't really need to share this, but go ahead.
No, it was really, that was what got me so tickled, is that, you know, it was cold out and all that, and
we've been standing there for 30 minutes trying to get this filmed.
yeah, and Sam had a big mucus drop into his cup, and my thought was, I am so glad he doesn't want me to take a drink from his cup right now, because I couldn't have done it. There would have been no way.
You couldn't keep a straight face.
I couldn't. Really hope that you did enjoy it, and happy to bring it to you. Hope you can take something from what we talked about and use it for yourself, because that's important for me to help you. And you guys have helped me so much. Goodness, from the comments, I have learned so much. And so it's really been fun.
Can I give a quick shout out?
Yeah, of course.
So I just want to say, you know, I don't watch a lot of the Flosstube. I'm in and out as this is going on. But I've got to give a shout out to the Sable sisters.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my gosh, they knocked it out of the park with their name. And
yeah.
it is so fitting, you know, can we have Sable sisters too? Because you and your sister Dorothy, most people call her Dottie, I call her Dorothy. I think it drives her nuts. But
which is why he does it.
Yeah, this is why I do it. But between the two of you, you just got fabric running out your ears, so far beyond life expectancy for either one of you. I mean, that name, the Sable sisters, you know, stash accumulation
beyond life expectancy.
That is just
that's the
perfect.
Most clever.
Yeah, they need t-shirts. Heck, I'd wear one.
I do think it's really funny too that we were sitting around talking one evening, and I don't remember how he said it or why he said it, but he said something about a fat quarter or a jelly roll. I think it was.
Although I picked up mail and you had a jelly roll in the mail, and I came home and told you you got a new jelly roll in the package before you even knew what it was.
And then he said something to the effect of, how sad is that I know what this is called? But, you know, that's the way it goes.
Well, between the two of us, we got how many machines? I mean,
oh, gosh.
6, 8, something?
No, we don't have that many, do we?
Yeah, I got 2. You've got 4 or 5.
I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 3. I've only got 3, and you've got 2.
There's another one somewhere. Oh, the long arm.
Oh, that was supposed to be a surprise for the next video.
Spoiler alert.
Speaking of next video, we have a guest stitcher lined up, and a special guest stitcher, just like Lisa was special, but this woman hails from across the pond. And I'm
not our pond.
Not our pond.
Okay.
I mean the big pond. So, so excited that she agreed to be on our channel. So I think it'll be really fun. And I could listen to her talk all day long. She wouldn't even, she could just like mumble or speak gibberish. And I just think she has such the neatest accent. So excited to have Janet with us next time.
Last time I was at her house working, doing some stuff for her, I actually needed to be somewhere after that. But I sat there and talked with her so long because you just can't. I mean, she's so magnetic, you can't get away. And when I got to Menards where I was going, they were already closed. But I really didn't care because I had such a great time talking with Janet.
She's a super duper nice lady. Very interesting. There's a lot of life experiences. So
it's going to be, I think it'll be neat.
I think it'll be really neat too. Looking forward to that. So that's our 6th episode, and hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment, like it, all that good stuff. Love your comments. And like I said, I've learned so much from them. I've learned a lot about everything from this so far. So hope it continues, and happy stitching.
I just hope it filmed.
I hope so too.